Welcome to the NAFA webinar series, providing you with timely information and training each month on topics of interest. This is Brendan Burnett, Director, Professional Development and Education Programs. This month, we are presenting Financial Planning for LGBT Couples, a look at key financial considerations after recent Supreme Court decisions. In June 2013, the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Section 3 of the 1996 Defense of Marriage Act, which had effectively banned federal benefits for same-sex married couples. In a subsequent case, the Supreme Court ruled in June 2015 that every state must permit same-sex marriages. As a result of these new rulings, employee benefits and financial planning strategies once available only to opposite-sex married couples, are now available to same-sex married couples. During today's webinar, you will learn the key changes that have taken place for the LGBT community, including changes to Social Security eligibility. The presentation also details how advisors may work with same-sex couples to incorporate these changes into their financial planning strategies. With me today are Jim Mahaney and Deborah Abbott-Walker. Jim is a Vice President with the Strategic Initiatives Unit of Prudential. Jim's focus is currently in the area of research and thought leadership for the firm. In this capacity, Jim has authored several research papers, primarily focused on retirement-related issues. Recently, he has been active as an invited speaker, sharing ideas on integrating retirement savings and Social Security. Due to his unique expertise in this area, Jim's work has been featured in the Wall Street Journal, Kiplinger's Retirement Planning Guide, the New York Times, USA Today, Forbes, as well as in the book, The Wall Street Journal Complete Retirement Guidebook, How to Plan It, Live It, and Enjoy It. His paper, Financial Planning Considerations for Same-Sex Couples After Windsor, won the prestigious Retirement Income Communications Award from Investment News and the Retirement Income Industry Association in 2014. And Deborah Abbott-Walker is a manager, financial services for Prudential Advisors, Southern New England Financial Group in Shelton, Connecticut. She is responsible for the recruitment, selection, and development of new agents and experienced financial professional associates. She has been a licensed insurance and financial services professional for nearly 25 years. Deborah serves on the executive board of Prudential's business resource group, Eagles, as the director of community. She was interviewed by CNN and Dow Jones following the repeal of DOMA in 2013 and has been featured in numerous industry publications regarding how this will affect the LGBT community. She resides in Fairfield, Connecticut, with her wife Jennifer and their young son. During the presentation and question and answer session, you may type questions in the question box on the right side of your screen. Questions will be answered during the question and answer session at the end of the program. So let's begin. Jim, welcome to the webinar.
Thanks, Brendan. I appreciate it, and it's great to be here. And good afternoon to everyone. So the Windsor decision in June 2013 and the Obergefell decision this past June were really watershed moments for same-sex couples. And what I'd like to do this afternoon is provide some context for how these decisions have potentially shaped the financial planning landscape. And the information I will cover today is from a paper Brendan just mentioned, which we released titled Financial Planning for LGBT Couples After U.S. versus Windsor and Obergefell versus Hodges. And today I'm joined by Deborah Abbott-Walker, and Deb's a financial advisor in Fairfield County, Connecticut. And so as I go through the presentation this afternoon, she's going to be adding her perspective on different topics that I cover and some of the implications and insights from a financial advisor perspective. So I wanted to go back initially in time. Prudential did a study, which we conduct every few years, that takes a look at the LGBT financial experience. And I want to share some of the responses, and you see them up on the screen now to this study. And what the study revealed was that LGBT Americans are by and large a financially robust community, really that actively contributes to the country's economy, and its members are generally confident about their financial futures. but they did have some concerns that focus mainly on retirement. Now, this study was done prior to the Supreme Court decision, so it'll be interesting as we conduct the survey next year how some of the responses had changed. But at the time of the survey, there was concern about financial rights and lack of access to Social Security survivor benefits. And we're going to talk about how those changes came about and might be changing opinions going forward. A couple highlights from the research. Lesbian households earn slightly more money, and their purchasing power is often overlooked. Lesbians are 1.5 times more likely than gay men to be in a relationship and thus have greater odds of falling into a dual income household. With buying power, in the United States, the buying power of the adult lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender population is projected at nearly $800 billion annually. Compared with the general population, median income is actually higher for this population, and the market really is underserved, and the LGBT population acknowledges a strong need for life insurance and help with financial issues. The LGBT community also wants your advice. Financial advisors who are knowledgeable about this segment's needs do not need to be part of the LGBT community. In fact, 88% of survey respondents, the vast majority, have yet to have a financial professional contact them about financial planning that is tailored to their needs. And I hope that the presentation today, provides some insights. Within the LGBT community, those in a relationship are just as likely as the general population to say they share in their financial decision making. The community is very different, though, in terms of how they organize their finances. Partnered gay men and lesbians are much more likely to have completely separate finances. The rates of entirely joint shared finances are less than half of the general population. When we asked them why, there was a mix of preference and simplicity under the law. The top 3 reasons of why they separate their finances: 55% prefer to maintain financial independence, 32% say simpler tax preparation, and 24% say different viewpoints on credit or money. So with the Windsor decision, married same-sex couples began being recognized as legally married at a federal level. A number of benefits became immediately available, but those who lived in states that didn't permit or even recognize same-sex marriages that occurred in other states did not fully benefit from the changes. For example, full spousal and survivor Social Security benefits were not available for married couples who lived in a state that did not recognize their marriage. That's why the Obergefell decision this past June was so important. All states must now permit and recognize same-sex marriages. And from a financial planning perspective, there are a lot of benefits and planning opportunities that have now arisen. Many of the changes for same-sex married couples can be financially beneficial, while others can be financially punitive. And today I'm going to cover some of those. So let's look first at workplace benefits. And we can focus first on healthcare, a top concern of many of your clients and prospects. So with spousal health care, you really want to check to see whether a client's spouse can receive better or less expensive health care benefits by joining the other spouse's workplace plan. And if a client's spouse was already covered under the client's employer's plan, they no longer have to pay taxes on imputed income. So that is a good benefit now that is recognized by married same-sex spouses. And with tax-favored health care accounts like flexible spending accounts, health reimbursement arrangements, and health savings accounts, these can now be used for qualified health care expenses of same-sex spouses. Moving to workplace retirement plans. The big thing here is beneficiary designation. So if your client participates in a defined benefit, a DB plan at work, he or she should review the beneficiary designation to ensure it reflects the client's current intention. If your client is named a non-spouse beneficiary and now they're recognized as married, the client's spouse must provide written consent, as a non-spouse beneficiary designation done without the consent of a spouse will be deemed invalid. Same thing holds true for defined contribution plans, 401k plans, for example. You want to review your client's beneficiary designation to ensure it reflects the client's current intention. And again, the client's spouse must provide written consent if a non-spouse beneficiary designation is done without the consent of the spouse. And Deb, I think you wanted to add on this point?
I sure did, Jim. Thank you. Reviewing beneficiaries is a great opportunity to get back in front of our clients and our prospects. It's really an important service that you can provide to help ensure the death benefit fulfills your client's wishes. And more often than not, when clients agree to discuss their beneficiary designations, they're probably also likely in need of a full comprehensive policy review. And once you are completed with the review and updating any beneficiary designations, the practice that I have put into play over the years is trying to obtain an appointment with the beneficiaries. And sometimes I get scoffed at, but the truth of the matter is the hardest part of what we do is finding new people to talk to, and this is a great opportunity for you to get some potential referrals from your clients and your prospects. And one of the ways I do that is pretty succinctly, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I'm glad we had the opportunity to review your beneficiary arrangements and ensure that they're consistent with your wishes. As a follow-up to this meeting, I'd really like your permission to introduce myself to whoever the beneficiaries are. What I've found is that when the time comes for them to reach me, it certainly helps them if they are familiar with the person that they're calling and they can put my face with a name. It's very important at a time where your clients and your prospects are going through something like a death that again, you make it as easy on them as possible. Some clients aren't going to want to share, they're not going to want their beneficiaries to know that they are the beneficiary on a life insurance policy, so you certainly have to be respectful. But I have found that this is a great way to obtain some additional appointments as you're building your practice.
Great. Now moving to group life insurance, you may have clients or prospects that might want to consider enrolling a spouse that might initially become eligible now that they're recognized as married for voluntary group life insurance if the client's employer makes it available. For dependent care flexible spending accounts, if your client and a spouse both utilize these accounts, you should recognize that the maximum that can be deposited each year is reduced from $10,000 with two single individuals to $5,000 for a married couple. And there might be miscellaneous benefits that become available through one of the spouse's employers. So you might want to review those additional employee benefits to see what might be available, like employee discounts or access to certain employer-provided athletic facilities, for example. All right, moving to individual financial planning. If your clients or prospects are utilizing individual health care, if applying for a policy through an exchange because a client's employer does not offer coverage and the spouse's employer doesn't offer coverage to worker spouses, they should calculate their eligibility for premium tax credits and subsidies based on their combined income. So getting married, you might actually lose a credit, or you might gain access to a premium tax credit. With Medicare, if one spouse will not have the minimum of 40 quarters to qualify for coverage at age 65, you might want to recognize that Medicare coverage can become available based on the other spouse's work history. Moving to financial considerations for IRAs, taxes, and life insurance. With regular IRAs, if your clients have a regular IRA, they should consider updating the beneficiary designation to the spouse if they've not already done so. And if your client wishes to contribute to a regular IRA, you should determine whether they can make deductible contributions based on the combined income and workplace retirement plan availability of both spouses. With Roth IRAs, if your clients have a Roth IRA, they should consider updating their beneficiary designation to the spouse if they've not already done so as well. And again, if your client wishes to contribute to a Roth IRA, you need to determine whether they can make contributions based on the combined income of both spouses. And a spousal IRA also might become available if your clients are now recognized as married and file a joint tax return. With estate and gift tax planning, which was really what the Windsor decision was all about, when creating a estate plan, consider that same-sex couples can now use the unlimited estate tax marital deduction to pass assets to a surviving spouse without incurring federal estate taxes. And when considering making gifts, recognize that the gifts and property can be transferred to each other without paying federal income or gift taxes. So same-sex married couples will now qualify also for gift splitting, meaning that each spouse is treated as giving half the property gifted by the other. Deb, I know you had a comment on this as well.
Jim, the unlimited estate tax marital deduction now presents an opportunity for second to die conversations, with your prospects and clients. For those who may not know, this is a life insurance policy that insures two people in one policy with a death benefit paid to beneficiaries when both of the insured people pass away. The taxes that are due upon the death of a second spouse can significantly reduce the value of an inheritance, and it really could cause substantial financial hardship. This type of life insurance policy can provide, money that's needed to pay taxes and liabilities, and it's a real smart and efficient way for heirs to be able to handle this burden by helping to ensure they have the funds available to pay taxes when that second spouse passes away.
Great. All right, moving to tax planning, same-sex married couples must now file federal and state tax returns using married filing jointly or married filing separately options. So this could benefit or could actually hurt couples, the same as opposite-sex couples. High-income earners might actually be paying more taxes when they're recognized as being married. With life insurance, as Deb just mentioned a little bit, if your clients are married, they may wish to revisit their life insurance needs, particularly if they're married and have children under the age of 16, as a widow or widower spouse is now eligible for life insurance benefits from Social Security. And this might be a good door opener to meet with prospects and clients. Deb, I don't know if you have any additional thoughts on this?
I think you hit that one on the head, Jim.
Okay. So moving to annuities, being recognized as married does allow annuities to continue income benefits to a widow or widower under favorable tax treatment. And then, not up on your slide, I'll also mention, though, college planning, because our group has been focused a lot on paying for college and helping families think about paying for colleges. And with college expenses so high, receiving financial aid can be a huge financial boost. If a couple's wavering on whether to get married, and if one partner has children approaching college, they actually may want to consider to wait on getting married, since the other partner's income will then be included in the federal and institutional methodologies of calculating financial aid. And it does get somewhat complicated here, but it might be where you can provide some added value. And if the parents are both legal parents, it no longer actually matters, as of 2 years ago, whether they live together or not, if they're both legal parents, and whether they're married, as both incomes will be included in the formula for determining financial aid. So we wrote a paper you can find on the Prudential website called Paying for College, a Practical Guide for Families, which is available for use for yourself and with clients to help think about some of these issues that allude to qualifying for financial aid. Moving to the next slide, one of the implications in a post-Windsor, post-Obergefell world is that married couples can now enjoy the advantages of Social Security as a couple. And with this change, planning retirement income can become more complex. Many of you probably are involved with helping your clients maximize Social Security benefits. It's a topic that's been near and dear to my heart as I've worked on it for the last 10 years, and helping to create these key strategies really can help LGBT couples plan income from Social Security and other sources and coordinate those other sources as effectively as possible. So if you have clients that are ready to file for worker or spousal or survivor benefits, they really should look for ways to optimize their benefits. And as many of you probably know, there's two claiming techniques that are going away. One that I worked on a number of years ago called File and Suspend is actually going away. It's pretty lucrative for couples that can take advantage of it, and filing a restricted application just for a spousal benefit will be around for another 4 years. But if you have clients that can file in the window to be eligible for these techniques, it might be quite beneficial for them, and definitely can be a door opener. So the Windsor and Obergefell decisions really helped level the playing field for same-sex married couples. And with same-sex marriage now recognized at both the federal and state level, there are a host of financial planning implications that we think LGBT couples should be aware of and should be discussing. And with all these changes, we feel strongly and discuss strongly with the LGBT community that they should be discussing these options with financial advisors. And in turn, I think there's a number of financial advisor opportunities that come into play based on all these changes, and helping your clients and prospects understand how they can benefit from these changes. So I do encourage you to take a look at this important disclosure. I want to thank you very much. I enjoyed giving the presentation, and we're now going to turn it back to Brendan to proceed with the Q&A part of the presentation. Brendan?
Thank you, Jim, and thank you, Deborah. Just as a reminder, if you would like to ask questions, you may do so by typing your question in the question box on the right side of your screen. And while our participants are taking the opportunity to type in their questions, I want to answer our most frequent question, which is this webinar being recorded? It is, and you will be emailed a web link within 2 business days that will allow you to view and listen to the recorded webinar. In addition, Jim and Deborah will make available the actual PowerPoint slides that you're viewing today, so you'll be emailed a link to those, along with some other helpful online information also within 2 business days of the broadcast. And at this time, we'll just pause to see if there's any questions. Okay, our first question, how do you reach out to the LGBT community?
Deb, I think this might be more down your target.
Terrific. There's a couple of ways certainly that I have done it, in my practice. First and foremost, I am very involved with a local LGBT community center. So if you do live in an area where there's an LGBT presence, whether it's a community center or some association like, that is definitely a good start. There is a national gay and lesbian chamber of commerce. It's NGLCC, and they do have chapters all over the country, and they are really a terrific resource for business owners that are LGBT. The other thing are some local trade organizations or any charities that might support LGBT causes. One of the points I also wanted to make was with regard to our financial experience that Jim shared that we did a few years ago. A lot of LGBT folks actually identify as business owners or being self-employed. So there's a real big opportunity for you to apply your business solutions knowledge and pass it along to them, to help them financially prepare for their future and the future of their business. You can help your prospective clients understand, business strategies for using life insurance, such as key person or executive compensation and buy-sell arrangements. Business succession planning can be really critical, for singles and couples who, co-own a business. And again, reaching out through some of the chambers or local trade organizations is a great opportunity for you to get introduced to business owners who, again, identify as LGBT.
And it could also be, I'm sorry, I was just going to add, with Social Security and the strategies, I know we at Prudential have created seminars that we prepared that are approved for financial advisors to use with the public. And I think the changes that are brought about by these Supreme Court decisions that allow LGBT couples who choose to marry to become eligible for the benefits that opposite-sex married couples have always enjoyed creates a lot of potential opportunity, especially as folks are on the brink of retiring, where money's going to be in motion coming out from qualified retirement plans and thinking about creating retirement income plans that incorporate Social Security and how to maximize those benefits and take advantage of the survivor benefit down the road to control some of that risk of an extended long life. I just think there's probably a tremendous opportunity to help educate prospects around those changes that they might not be and probably are not familiar with.
Jim, the other point too with regard to the question is also that, LGBT people don't necessarily want to work with, an LGBT financial advisor. So again, for those, on the call, if you're a straight ally or you identify as LGBT, it doesn't matter to the consumer that you actually are LGBT. The only thing that matters really is that you're sensitive and you're educated about some of the differences, that the LGBT community experiences.
All right, we'll move on to our next question. I am surprised that long-term care insurance was not mentioned. Please comment. Any long-term care implications?
Well, I'll just respond since I created the presentation. We really were trying to create awareness around what was impacted by the Supreme Court decisions from a federal perspective, and also how that might impact workplace related benefits. So because I guess I should say in recent years at least, because LTC benefits are not as common, or I don't know what the frequency is of being offered as a workplace benefit anymore. That's why we didn't really look at it, but I'm sure there are some opportunities, and Deb, you might have looked at this a little bit more closely.
Yeah, again, Jim, to your point is that, long-term care insurance, there's no marital correlation, so to speak. Any individual person can own, long-term care insurance, and there's really no benefit to, being married or being recognized as married. I do have many clients who are in a couple situation, but they are not legally married, and they have, long-term care insurance, again, in protection of each other, yes, but again, there's really no, additional benefit to, recognizing now that, those couples can be married. I think that's the other, reason why we don't put it into the presentation, because it really hasn't, the implications haven't changed at all. It's still a very important financial planning tool for certain, though.
Thank you. We do have several other questions. I noticed the slides say for use with consumers. I am currently helping a same-sex couple with life insurance and am able to solicit financial planning. What marketing materials would you recommend I have handy during policy delivery?
I must be honest, I'm not qualified to speak to that, Brendan. I don't know if Deb is.
Well, I guess it would really depend on what type of resources, the company is providing the advisor. Certainly at Prudential, we're very blessed with, having a lot of resources that are LGBT specific. The white papers, the two white papers that we have, as well as the financial experience from a few years ago. And we also have a life insurance brochure, consumer brochure that is, specific for the LGBT community. I'm not sure if the other, companies that might be represented on the call have those specific resources, but certainly you can go to, our website and utilize some of the tools that we have out there for the LGBT community. I think the financial experience, though, is a couple of years outdated, and I can't wait to see the new study later in the year. Would be a great piece to take to that client.
So, Deborah, so the individual participants on this webinar, the broker-dealer might be, the carrier company might be a resource also.
Oh, absolutely. Sure.
Okay, excellent. Is Prudential offering life insurance to the HIV-positive community members? How will this work? Wow, another great question, and the answer actually is yes. And it's probably a little bit too much to go into on this conversation, but we just introduced a partnership with a company called Equalis, and we are able to offer our Term Essential and our Term Elite, term insurance products to people that are living with HIV. There are,
very specific underwriting criteria that they have to meet, and the policies would, be rated, but they would get the same, insurance that, everybody can qualify for with our term insurance portfolio. So it's a brand new, literally like a week or so old, and again, it just goes to Prudential's commitment to the LGBT community, and that we're the only company that is offering our life insurance product to the HIV community. People certainly, if they want to learn more about it, they can contact me if they like.
And the next question, will the Prudential documents identified during the presentation be made available as well?
Yeah, we're going to make available the presentation. We're going to send that out along with a link to a couple of the papers that I mentioned, which are approved for consumer use as well.
Excellent. And the next question, is there a print version of this audio presentation? And I'll begin to tackle that while the webinar is being recorded and the slides are being released, there is not a transcript available of today's presentation. So unfortunately, we won't have a word-by-word verbatim transcript, but as Jim mentioned, we will have a number of other resources for you. Next question. I'm aware on more than one occasion that some LGBT couples decline taking advantage of these new laws. Any idea as to why they are doing this?
Jim, you want to start on that one? Because, again, as you mentioned, some are punitive and some are, advantageous.
Yeah, it sounds like the question really is being framed, though, that that there are opportunities that avail themselves to the couples, but the couples are not taking advantage of them for some reason. So I'm not familiar with it. I mean, I guess, if a couple is married and opportunities do avail themselves, it's just a matter of being aware of them and taking advantage of them. But some are actually law, like filing taxes. If you're recognized as married now, it's really not a choice. So I'd be interested actually to know a little bit more detail that is the foundation of the question.
And we have another question. Do you have any informational sources or materials you might recommend specifically for those with HIV? Obviously, the life insurance and long-term care components are unavailable or very cost prohibitive. Well, perhaps not obviously. So maybe our panelists could address that question. Perhaps they are available.
I would direct people, and I will jump in with the website. But we do have a website for the HIV program. What is that? I will jump back in with that information in a second.
Well, take your time, because while you do that, I'm going to ask another question. Individuals who choose to remain in a domestic partnership rather than marriage, with the new laws, do you see the dissolution of domestic partnerships in the future? More importantly, where can you find resources for those couples?
Yeah, that's a great question. I can tell you from my perspective, just on some of the research that I've done, is that corporations are taking a closer look at providing benefits to domestic partnerships. So it could be that we see domestic partnership offering of benefits eliminated now that the playing field has been leveled as far as whether same-sex couples can get married or not. And I think it'll be interesting to see what transpires over the next couple years, and then see how that might actually impact some of the decisions that couples make around whether they choose to get married, if there is a need to do so for financial planning purposes, such as access to health insurance, for example.
One of the other pieces to follow up on what Jim is saying is also with regard to financial aid for children going to school. Once you combine incomes, if you get married and now your income is combined, that may put you above a certain threshold to qualify for college financial aid. So unfortunately, it's not just about love anymore.
Great
and
segue.
I do have, Brandon, I do have that email website.
Oh, thank you, Deborah. Go ahead.
It is my Equalis, and it's spelled AEQUALIS.com. MyEqualis.com. It has all the information that you'll need about the HIV program.
Outstanding. We have a comment. At New York Life, we give a 15% discount to married couples. So there is a benefit in that regard concerning long-term care.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Point made. Very, very, very good point.
Question, are partner discounts on long-term care policies available that are commonly offered for straight couples?
In my experience, it's been if you're living in the same household, even if you're not a partner, perhaps you live with a sister or a brother, as long as you live in the same household, there are discounts that are available for long-term care.
And another observations come in that there are benefits that many companies, not just New York Life, provide married couple discounts ranging from 10 to 15% on long-term care. Thank you. Let's see. I've heard recent announcements that Prudential will be offering life insurance for clients who are HIV positive. Can we have any insight on that? I think that question's already been covered, hasn't it?
That's been answered.
All right. You mentioned that Pru will likely create an update of the community survey. What steps will Pru take to assure the new survey is more representative of the target demographic?
I'm not sure what the thinking is behind the question as far as the targeted demographic. I mean, I think from my knowledge, and I'm not that close to it, but we do try to go out and look at the LGBT community and get a diverse opinion there. I do think that the landscape has changed a lot because of what has transpired with the Supreme Court decision. So it'll be interesting as we go back out there and put a pulse on really what's going on in the community and what the thinking is regarding some of the changes and what the impact will be, and what the levels of desire to learn more about the benefits and what the ignorance level is will be very, very insightful for us.
And our questioner has added clarification to the question that you were just answering, Jim. The questioner asserts that the sample was skewed to upper income persons. So thank you for that clarification. All right. The next question, are they fully convertible to all of your permanent options? I assume we're talking about term life insurance to a permanent option, and I don't know if that's enough for our panelists to answer the question. So if you could, if our questioner could provide a little more detail on your question on converting to permanent options, we would appreciate that. Let's see.
I think I can take that, Brandon, if you want.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sure. The conversion privilege does allow you to convert to any permanent policy that Prudential currently offers at that time. It is guaranteed and without taking any kind of medical exam. yeah, as I said, we have a couple of different term portfolios, and they work a little bit differently, but they are fully convertible to any permanent policy that we're offering at that time.
All right, our next question. What is the politest way or most sensitive way to ask a gay couple if they plan to marry? Perhaps offense could be taken if you assume they will marry as the financial advisor.
Deb, I'll leave that one to you, okay?
Sure. Boy, that's, you know, I would think that as you're, you know, if you're sitting down as their advisor and you're going through, you know, a process and you're, you know, identifying, you know, needs and going through, you know, that kind of discussion, it's just it's going to rear its head at some point, you know. I would, knowing myself, I would be a little bit, you know, certainly respectful, but, you know, again, somewhat jovial in that, you know, again, make it sort of a fun discussion. But certainly you do have to be sensitive. But if you're doing, you know, if you're doing fact finding with a prospect, you know, there'll be an opportunity to, you know, just, you know, ask that question.
We have another question. Will LGBT survivors receive full survivor benefits as long as the minimum number of years worked have been satisfied for the deceased spouse?
Yeah, if we're talking about Social Security, yes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And Deborah, we have a request for you to repeat that website that you read out a few minutes ago. Could you please repeat that website address?
MYAEQUALIS.com.
And we have an observation regarding LGBT couples sometimes using a married status when it's advantageous, but also using domestic partnership status when that would prove more advantageous. Not sure if that is something that you're seeing, but I'll let our panelists comment.
Yeah, I'm not close enough to really to answer that, because I would be curious whether a marriage trumps being a domestic partner, but I'm not that close to it. I don't know. Deb, do you have anything to add on this?
In my experience, you know, it's one way or the other.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And our last question: do you encourage your LGBT clients to name in their wills provisions for minor children? Why not, right? But I'll leave that to our panelists.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. And this is outstanding. We've been able to get through every single one of our questions. So I want to thank those who asked questions for their very insightful questions today. And we're going to be able to actually get out a little bit early today. So don't think we'll have any complaints, as our members are going to be able to go ahead and head back to their businesses. So I want to thank very much Jim Mahaney and Deborah Abbott-Walker. Thank you so much for participating today as our expert panelists and providing your insights and expertise. Just as a reminder, an email will be sent within 2 business days, and that's going to have a number of links, including a link to some resources mentioned today and a link to the actual recorded webinar. And I also want to thank very much our participants for taking time to learn more and to participate today on the webinar. This concludes the webinar.